Top breaking news at Midway Airport. A man jumped over a fence, got on the tarmac. Chris Habermill over the scene in Chopper 2. Chris.
Happened around 4:45 this afternoon. An unauthorized individual violated the fence, got inside the perimeter, and even tried to stop a private jet, banging on the door of the aircraft, attempting to get on. So that individual was, of course, apprehended. Security swarmed in here. That individual taken to McNeil Hospital for evaluation. Indications are, at least for right now, that person was intoxicated. So a troubling event. How did they get inside? That is under investigation. Other operations, jetliners going in and out, are unaffected. I'm Chris Habermill, CBS 2 News.
Chris, thank you.
You know, generally when you hear a story like this, you expect it's like the finale of a big action movie where the hero is like rushing to stop a plane from taking off because maybe they've kidnapped someone important or he's trying to rescue his girlfriend or family member. But this guy was just drunk. A little anticlimactic, but that news broke not too long ago. I think about maybe an hour ago, my good friend Ed Heller shared that with me in the our Slack conversation. Mr. Ed, how are you? Are you there, Ed?
Sorry, I had my microphone muted there. Yeah, my lawyers have advised me not to talk about the jumping over the fence at Midway Airport incident.
Jesus. I didn't know that was you.
And no, like I said, my lawyers have advised me not to talk about the thing that I did not do.
Okay.
As Pegleg often also advises me.
All right. Well, then we'll steer clear of talking about that story anymore. And Kit.
Cheers to alcohol, the cause and solution to all of life's problems. There you go.
Thank you, Homer Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
How are you gentlemen tonight?
Lovely. I had a nice bourbon stout right there, so, you know, doing pretty good.
Good. Well, to our viewing audience, thank you all for joining us tonight for another Tuesday night edition of Chicago Corner. We've got a lot of stories to cover, so perhaps we should just get into it. I've got several videos that I can run tonight, which is good because I like having extra footage of the stuff that we're talking about. So let me start with our first story here. Let me bring up the screen and play it. Is it coming up? Wait a minute. Stand by. Why is... Oh, there we go. Okay. Add to stream.
Not an anniversary to celebrate. It's been exactly 1 year since 13-year-old Adam Toledo was shot and killed while being pursued by a Chicago police officer. Today, we expect to hear from his mother.
CBS 2's Muga Odigwe is at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, where Toledo's mom and others will protest for police policy changes.
Adam Toledo's death sparks a lot of anger and a lot of concern over the Chicago Police Department's foot chase policy, and we expect his mom will address that today as well. Her son, Adam Toledo, was just 13 years old when he was shot and killed on this day last year by Officer Eric Stillman. The shooting happened after a foot chase in an alley near 24th Street and Sawyer Avenue in Little Village. And while Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox declined to press charges against Stillman, she expressed concern over CPD's foot chase policy. Just last summer, CPD implemented a temporary policy, but a full implementation was delayed. The department said more review was needed. Last month, a revised policy was announced, but right now the department says it's analyzing feedback on that policy before it can be finalized. But that constant delay is why leaders in Little Village will also hold their own event this afternoon.
We want to avoid another Adam Toledo. We don't want to have more of our children killed by the police department.
Baltazar Enriquez is the president of the Little Village Community Council. He says this afternoon's event is a rally, a remembrance of Toledo's life, but it's also about calling for that foot pursuit policy to be enacted right away, adding that kids can be arrested without being killed.
Black and brown communities are the ones that are always being killed, and today we're just asking for a little justice, and we're going to protest until we get that justice.
That rally is at 4 this afternoon at Farragut High School. Meantime, Toledo's mother will be here at 12. She'll be in front of the state's attorney's office talking about her son's death and what could have been done to prevent it. We'll stream that live for you on our digital streaming network, CBS News Chicago. In the Loop, Mugo Odigwe, CBS 2 News.
So as of showtime tonight, there were no updates on this. I don't know that she publicly spoke. That story I just shared was about from 3 or 4 hours ago. So I want to play a little compare and contrast. Now, the situations are not identical. We saw some video there of the police pursuing Adam Toledo. Let me just run this other news story, and I kind of want to like cross over some of my thoughts on these.
Ahead, an update on a breaking news story we told you about earlier. A CTA employee is arrested after a shooting at the 95th Street Red Line station. As CBS 2's Sabrina Franza tells us, the incident was caught on video.
Right now, CTA is looking at termination for this employee. He remains in police custody while charges are pending. Meanwhile, this whole thing was caught on video. We counted at least 11 shots here. The two men got into some sort of argument before 2 a.m. Saturday morning when the victim pushed the employee down. That employee was working as a customer assistant at the time and had a gun on him in violation of CTA rules. Then the employee gets up and follows the victim to the stairs where he shot multiple times, hitting that victim in the stomach. Meanwhile, the unions representing Chicago bus drivers and rail operators report almost 400 physical and verbal assaults against their members last year. We're waiting to hear back from CTA on their numbers this year so far. Again, that employee is in police custody. The victim was taken to UFC Hospital where he remains in critical condition. We're in the West Loop. Sabrina Franza, CBS 2 News.
Earlier in the newscast, we reported the CTA employee had a criminal history. That is not correct. It was the victim who was arrested in 2011 for criminal damage to property and other offenses. We apologize for the error.
Now, let me share what preceded that incident as reported by Kelly Bauer at Blog Club Chicago. The shooting happened at 1:55 a.m. Saturday inside the station. The victim was shot in his lower abdomen, back and lower leg. He was taken to University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition. Before the shooting, the 37-year-old and another man asked Adams and another CTA employee for help. Then the 37-year-old man and the other man got into a fight, prosecutors said, according to the Sun-Times. The CTA workers called police. The other man got onto a train with help from police officers, but the victim remained, saying he was going to get a ride, prosecutors said, according to the Sun-Times. The officers left. The victim then threatened Adams and the other CTA worker, prosecutors said, according to the Sun-Times. Adams came out of his CTA kiosk with a hammer and argued with the victim, who pushed Adams, knocking him to the ground, prosecutors said, according to the Sun-Times. Adams tried to hit the man with the hammer, and the man kicked Adams in his face. Okay, so this is kind of what I want to unwrap here. We just saw the video, right? The police were there. They confronted these two guys that were harassing the CTA workers. I'm not condoning what Adams did at all, shooting this guy who assaulted him, right? But the guy assaulted him. Police left the guy who assaulted him there before helping the other guy onto a train. Adams wrongfully chased the guy and shot him in the staircase down the stomach, and he's in custody. Do you guys remember the Alvarez shooting?
Hey, drop the gun! Drop the gun! Why are you shooting me? You had a gun!
Different result. Alvarez didn't even assault the officers, while the officers just gunned him down, fleeing in the back. Look, I know that these situations are clearly different circumstances, but when we have video with Toledo and Alvarez, and we have video with Adams at the CTA, him shooting the victim, and, Fox isn't going to file any charges against these police officers who, discharge their weapons and kill people, while this CTA employee who could argue his I would imagine his defense attorneys could argue he felt he feared for his life after he was assaulted, even though the guy ran off. It wasn't right for him to chase after him and shoot him. But I just thought that this was illustrative of the rules for thee, not for me mentality in the city of Chicago. What do you guys think?
All right. First of all, let's look what happened to Adam Toledo and Anthony Alvarez. They didn't have to lose their lives. and we all can agree on that. And I understand that the job of these first responders, firefighters, paramedics, you're dealing with a lot of stuff on the front lines. I only can imagine what a lot of them have to go through. But the cop that took the lives of those two young men, it didn't have to happen. And we see this story get repeated over and over again. There needs to be a full investigation and trial that must take place. Justice must be done for those families. Now, their lives are gone. And watching those videos, it's disturbing for me because I think we all can come to the conclusion it didn't have to happen. What happened at the CTA between that CTA employee and that, belligerent individual, that didn't have to happen either. I look at these cases as being different because, again, the said victim of the CTA tussle was walking away. Clearly, there was something wrong. The CTA employee did not need to go after that person, but there is an example of rules for thee, not for me. And the thing is, that cop must be held accountable for the lives of those two young men that were lost. The CTA official, I don't know what they were thinking. I understand that maybe they might have been afraid, but remember, said person was walking away. CTA official went after them.
I would only argue one point, Kit. Alvarez was running away from the officer who was in no danger when he shot him in the back. I guess that's where I found the parallels a little bit interesting. I think the situation with Toledo was very different. But when we're talking about two men who were clearly not in any danger, pursuing the people that they ended up wounding, and in the Alvarez case, killing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of an interesting thing to dissect.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the CTA red line story. It's it's a little confusing to me.
Yeah, let me go into more detail on that. Let me bring up that screen so we can talk more about that. Because unfortunately, Adam Toledo's mother, as I said, there was no rally that I saw before showtime, and I wanted to get video from it if it was there. I guess maybe we can report on that Friday if something ends up transpiring that we can share from a rally that may have happened this evening. But as far as the CTA story, as the video shared, the CTA employee was assaulted before he ended up shooting his assailant, who started running down the stairs. So the update since then comes from CWB Chicago. The CTA employee is quoted as saying, "My life is over," said CTA worker accused of shooting man on 95th Street Red Line station. A CTA customer service agent was ordered held without bail Sunday for allegedly shooting an intoxicated man who was walking away from him after an altercation at the 95th Street Red Line station. Video of the confrontation and gunfire recorded by a witness went viral on Saturday. I think the CTA guy just lost his shit, is what it was, after he got knocked to the ground.
Yeah.
And obviously, tempers flared. He got up, and that's why he decided to go after his assailant and shoot him when he wasn't in any more danger. But the CTA employee's name is Sylvester Adams, 53, charged with attempted first-degree murder and aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. Allegedly told a coworker, "My life is over," moments after the shooting. So he knew he screwed up. Bullets don't have names. They don't have addresses, Judge Barbara Dawkins said during the hearing, noting that the 95th Street station is one of the CTA's busiest transportation centers. And that's Mr. Adams there, the shooter. Prosecutors said the victim, identified by NBC5 as Jeremy Begay, 37, and another man approached the CTA attendant kiosk to ask Adams and his coworker for directions and the location of an ATM around 2:13 a.m. Saturday. Moments later, the victim and the other man got into a fight, and Adams' coworker called the police. Officers put the other man onto the red line, but the victim reportedly said he was waiting for a ride and didn't want to take the train. Now, this story also reported the victim was intoxicated. I'm kind of surprised that the police that answered this call were oblivious to that before putting the other guy on the train and departing. After the officers left, Adams and his coworker were locked inside their enclosed kiosk as the victim, described as unarmed and clearly intoxicated, began threatening them from outside, prosecutors said. Clearly intoxicated, and the cops missed that. More CTA customers arrived. And, Kit, to your point, yeah, I know that there's a lot of circumstances surrounding first responders and stuff. But, come on. If this were a black guy out on the street, intoxicated, causing trouble, you don't think that they would have hauled him in? Or you don't think it would have escalated? Not that I should have escalated in a way that police should have exercised any kind of deadly force, but clearly better judgment, leaving this intoxicated guy wandering around the station, even though he said he was waiting for a ride.
I want to say something here right now. I find all these incidences appalling and unnecessary. None of them needed to happen. And with the two incidents with the two young men that were slain by that cop clearly was not in the right and failed his job. The CTA official should not have been armed, period. And it was not up to him to automatically hunt down that individual who was intoxicated. I find all this to be wrong and unjust. I find that this is just not right at all, period.
Kathy asks, is it against the law to be drunk? I think there are public intoxication laws. If someone is clearly intoxicated and causing trouble, they could have removed him from the property. At the very least, good judgment would have dictated remove the guy from the property if he was causing trouble for the CTA people. That's kind of where I come from, Kathy. No, I'm not talking the cops should be arresting everybody on the street who's drunk, but the CTA employees called the police, and this is how they handled the situation, and it escalated after that. They departed when the reporting says he was clearly intoxicated. More CTA customers arrived, and the man became combative with some of them too, according to prosecutors. That's when Adams allegedly stepped out of the locked kiosk with a hammer in his hand and approached the victim. The men exchanged words, and the victim pushed Adams to the ground. Adams tried to hit the man with the hammer while on the ground, and the victim kicked Adams in the face before turning and walking away, prosecutors said. Video recorded by a CTA customer who arrived during the disturbance was first posted to Twitter by the 16th and 17th Chicago police scanner account early Saturday. Let's show it clearly again.
Jerry, to answer Kathy's question.
Ed, hold on a second. Let me just run the video, and I do want to hear what you have to say. Let me just, since I've got this queued up here.
Stop!
Hell no, boy. No, hell no, fuck. No, hey, TG, folk. TG. Before he got his pipe, boy.
It's like something out of Death Wish. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I mean, as you said earlier, that guy totally lost his shit. But to answer Kathy's question, according to IllinoisLegalAid.org, it is illegal to make public intoxication illegal in the state of Illinois. So you probably can't do it in Chicago either.
Okay. That's surprising because I've heard people of people getting pinched for public intoxication, but maybe I don't.
Maybe there's some weird ordinances that are getting around that, or some other type of like disorderly conduct type thing.
Article goes on to say the CTA worker is seen getting to his feet. We just saw what happened. Bullet struck the victim in his back, abdomen, and lower right leg. He is reportedly expected to survive. Okay, thanks for that. After being shot, the victim made his way to the end of the platform and hid. CTA video shows the victim was clearly walking away when Adams fired, prosecutors said. Adams allegedly returned to the kiosk after the shooting and told his co-worker, "My life is over." Prosecutors said he also admitted to shooting the victim while speaking to officers whose body-worn cameras were activated. A public defender said Adams has been a CTA employee for 4 years. He has no criminal background. The transit agency said Saturday that it is moving to fire the employee responsible for the shooting. Sad all around. I mean, I hope the guy recovers. I can't say I don't feel bad for the CTA employee who was assaulted, although he should have held it together. Tragedy all around. This guy's going to lose his job. The other guy's in the hospital recovering from bullet wounds now. Here we go in the live chat. Ilhanner says, as far as public intoxication goes, it it would have to be linked to disorderly conduct dealing with public safety. So I don't see how the police wouldn't have recognized this as disorderly conduct if the CTA had to call the police on these guys. Number one. Number two, they get there and they find out the guy's intoxicated. I mean, you could probably smell it, and they didn't do anything. So,
yeah, it's too bad we don't have the footage from the police officers' body cams showing what happened beforehand.
Yeah, very good point. I wonder if there'll be an FOI requested from the defense on that to, I don't know, at least show it went down ahead of time before his client, the defendant, who's now charged, reacted the way he does. Kathy shares, at Chicago Avenue, the cops shot at somebody who was running away because he didn't want to get arrested for crossing between train cars. Wow. All right. Anyway, that was kind of a big story this weekend, and going back to what we started the show with, just to kind of quickly bring that up once again. We reported on this last week that no charges for Chicago police officers who shot Adam Toledo and Anthony Alvarez, Fox said. So I'm hoping that we'll hear something.
Well done for the from the individuals who are supposed to be protecting the people. Once again, no justice, no accountability. What happened to Adam Toledo and Anthony Alvarez, not right.
Nope. And I fear that their families will never get or see justice for this. All right. And hopefully we'll have an update on that, though. Again, I'd like to hear from Toledo's mom if there was any kind of a get-together today at the Cook County attorney's offices or in Little Village. Okay. So here's a Chicago is broke, guys, don't you?
What? No, we're not. We got the TIF funds, man.
Of course we do. And you know where they're going?
They're going to that second bean in Millennium Park that Lori wants to put up on top of the first bean.
What?
First the Mag Mile, now LaSalle Street gets makeover ideas. This comes from Cranes, as reported by Danny Ecker. Narrowing the street, closing off a couple of blocks at the corner southern end, and unfreezing TIF money for redevelopment are among the recommendations from a city-commissioned panel. Giving LaSalle Street a badly needed jolt of new life coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic calls for public subsidies, a new taxing district, and a radical makeover to break from its past as a domain of financial giants. Does that street look like it needs a makeover, guys?
No!
I would also say, historically, don't fucking touch LaSalle Street. Don't screw with the architecture. The street is not congested as most streets are in Chicago. I don't think they put bike lanes there yet. I'm not sure if I haven't driven down there yet. But we've got to spend TIF money to revitalize LaSalle Street. Remember, LaSalle Street, where the Board of Trade is and where they're very, very much against that transaction tax on trading. A penny a trade was proposed, I think, by Trusser or another big thinker here in Chicago years ago that would have I guess, if I recall correctly, would have reduced the city's deficit. It was the LaSalle Street transaction tax on trading. A penny per trade. With all the money that's made on LaSalle Street, a penny per trade would wipe out much, if not all, of Chicago's debt. And I think it was Thomas Trusser who reported this. And of course, Mayor Rahm wasn't going to do it, nor is Mayor Lori, but she's going to open up the TIF funds here to revitalize that street. That's the recommendation from a panel convened in recent months. Why don't they fucking pay for it? Are they poor? That's the
the people on the South Street, they're all private entrepreneurs, they're all private businessmen. Fucking A. Go ahead and crack open your own wallets. If you want to do it, hey, the city will thank you. But do it yourselves. Don't take the freaking TIF funds.
That's the recommendation from a. Geez, I wish I had some of what you're drinking right now, Kit. That's the recommendation from a panel convened in recent months by the Urban Land Institute, which set out to provide guidance to city officials and Loop stakeholders about ways to revitalize the historic but vacancy-ridden thoroughfare. The panel, which will present its findings tonight during a virtual meeting, focused on a stretch of LaSalle between the Chicago River and Jackson Boulevard that was burnished over the past century as the city's financial district, but which big banks and traders are abandoning for newer buildings elsewhere downtown. Why is that our problem? Among the ideas for the corridor's future, narrowing the streets. What does narrowing streets do, guys?
Congestion.
Thank you. And widening sidewalks to create a space for more greenery and places to sit, because, everybody in Chicago wants to go sit on LaSalle Street.
No.
I mean, we have a river walk, we have a lakefront, but we're going to throw money away to widen the sidewalks on LaSalle Street for green space. I mean, what, 3 or 4 blocks away, you got State Street, which is a more tourist thoroughfare. Space for more greenery and places to sit, projecting light displays on buildings or spanning multiple blocks. They're building a tribute to the financial district is what this is. They're glorifying our financial titans is what this is about. And more drastic changes to the use of the street, such as closing off 1 or 2 blocks south of Jackson to vehicular traffic to bring in pop-up retailers and street festivals that would draw both locals and tourists. And making it all happen will require investment from both public coffers and property owners. How many properties are vacant in the retail district over on State Street? Why are you worried about bringing retail to LaSalle Street? You've got a lot of vacancy to deal with, and there isn't a there on LaSalle Street anymore. You've got to create a there, said panel chair Mary Ludgen, senior managing director and director of global investment research at Chicago-based real estate investment firm Heitman. You know what this is, guys? This is a bunch of real estate owners on LaSalle Street who are pissed off that the bankers have gone elsewhere. They've got empty vacancies, and now they got to use the city and our money to revitalize the street so that they can get high-priced renters into their buildings. That's what this is about.
Well, it's either that, Jerry, or they're going to put a roller coaster in there and call it Wall Street Land.
As I look at this picture, LaSalle Street was prominently featured in the Christopher Nolan Batman Dark Knight movies. And you know why? Chicago isn't beyond saving. Give me more time. There are good people here. Because Chicago is as rancidly corrupt as Gotham City. But I was remembering at the end of Batman Begins, that's kind of the angle where the monorail goes into the Board of Trade building, which was in the movie The Wayne Tower. Anyway, back to the article. The ULI panel included local developers, architects, and urban planners, and was tapped for its recommendation by the Chicago Department of Planning and Development and the Chicago Loop Alliance. ULI recently completed a similar exercise to create a new vision for the Magnificent Mile. The task for the LaSalle Street panel was to devise ways to help it become a live, work, play location and assess what role financial incentives might play in bringing that vision to life, Legend said. At the heart of the problem was the panel's estimate that 30% of the office inventory in LaSalle only 30% is vacant or will soon be as financial behemoths defect for newer buildings. In the 2 most impactful moves, Skank of America recently vacated its 830,000 square foot office at the 135 South LaSalle Street when it moved to a new namesake tower on Wacker Drive. Well, they're BMO, but I call them BO for Body Odor Harris Bank, is leaving behind its similarly massive footprint at 115 South LaSalle Street for its new eponymous skyscraper next to Union Station. The owners of both LaSalle Street properties are poised to hand over the key to their lenders. After interviewing 70 LaSalle Street stakeholders, including building owners and officials from a variety of city departments, the panel arrived at 2 big financial suggestions to help speed up the street's renaissance. Wouldn't it be cool if the city were as quick to respond to, officials, residents, business owners from the south and west sides that are hemorrhaging and bleeding in crime-ridden communities where no TIF funds go into to revitalize at all? At all. This is our mayor, this is our city stakeholders' priorities. Mag Mile, LaSalle Street, TIF funds funded by you, me, and everybody else to continue to enrich these LaSalle Street fucks who never wanted to accept a penny per transaction tax to help the city's budget. If you want to keep denying there is a class war in this country, I say you're at worst in denial, at best insane. No, at worst insane, at best in denial. The first was to unfreeze the LaSalle Street Central Tax Increment Financing District, allowing money from that TIF to be spent for its original purpose of reviving a part of the city with severely outmoded buildings. It's a historical district. Former Mayor Ron Fuckface Emanuel made a strategic political move in 2015 when he effectively blocked new TIF spending in the central area of the city. Downtown was thriving during his administration, and the money was to be directed towards helping resolve unfunded pension costs for the city and Chicago public schools. That has continued and thus far under Mayor Lori Lightfoot. But the heart of the loop now finds itself grappling with a lack of vibrancy in the wake of the pandemic. Who gives a shit if LaSalle Street is grappling with a lack of vibrancy? People realize they can work from home. They don't have to waste gas. They don't have to pay for parking to go down to their offices to have people watching over their shoulders to do the work that they accomplish at home for far more affordably. And providing TIF money to help pedestrianize LaSalle Street, add a landscaping, and help reimburse certain redevelopment costs for big, older buildings could help induce real estate investors to bet on the street's future. It's all about the fucking real estate investors. It can make a deal pencil out and cause them to say yes to this opportunity rather than have them play somewhere else. That's what we're playing for, she said. The panel's second financial recommendation, based on a proposed bill in Springfield that would allow the formation of business improvement districts, which apply special taxes on property owners to fund street improvements, programming, or services like security. The concept is similar to the commonly used special service area taxing districts in the city, but with building owners having more say over how properties within the district are accessed for purposes of the special tax. Building owners would also initiate the creation of such districts, whereas proposed SSAs are only blocked when enough property owners oppose them. Bringing new uses to old office buildings will also be key to bringing back LaSalle Street's vibrancy, the panel concluded, with big opportunities in the residential sector as demand for apartments has already surpassed pre-pandemic levels. I have another idea. Why don't we stop all these new buildings? I guess you can't stop them. You can't stop real estate developers from building more buildings. But when you see how much new space is being built all over the loop, and you're moaning about the fact that you've got these vacancies and you don't have anybody to rent to, why are all these other properties going up that remain empty for the most part also? That's what blows me away when I go downtown. Seeing all of this new development, either in business sectors or in residential sectors, and I'm like, who can afford to live down here?
No one can afford to live in that area.
Who's all this housing for?
Well, here's who it's for. It's for rich people visiting. What is happening right now is cities all across America, Chicago included, they're being turned into places where the top 1% can live and enjoy all the luxuries while all the poor people are outside in the outskirts of the areas, so that they don't have to worry about anything that might unpleasant their sights. But all the while the city is all focused on building up the rich areas, what are we seeing underneath the bridges? What are we seeing outside in our neighborhoods? We're seeing more tent cities. We're seeing more homes being abandoned. We're seeing apartments being shut down. We're seeing small businesses being shut down. And the city doesn't care. We have politicians that are okay with seeing its people have been living here for generations out in the streets now. This city is basically abandoning its people and investing into rich areas. Now, when I see these condos being built up, I'm thinking, number one, I will never be able to afford to live in those buildings. No one I know in my inner circle will be able to live in those areas. So what it's telling me is this is gentrification still going on. It happened under Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and it's happening under Mayor Lori Lightfoot. And this is evidence for me why she has to go, because why does LaSalle Street need to be invested into? Those private people, those private businessmen, they could crack open their own wallets and do that if they wanted to. They could buy off the city. Let's face it, we legalized bribery in this country. But the TIF funds are not needed. City money isn't needed for this. You know what city money and the TIF funds are needed for? Reopening our mental health institutions.
Yes.
Making sure we don't have lead in our drinking water. Keeping our Chicago public schools open. I don't know. Is this a bridge too far for Mayor Lori Lightfoot and her administration? The answer is yes. For the city council, I guess the answer is yes. Because they're abandoning us, and it's okay for them to do that to us.
No, it's not okay.
I know. But in their mindset.
Yeah, I know. I got you.
I know. But in their mindset, they're saying it's okay to abandon us. We as citizens in the city of Chicago 2023 is our next city election. We've got to get a large turnout. We've got to get people that are going to care for the city of Chicago because we cannot afford this anymore. The overall plan is to kick out all the working class citizens, the families that have been living here for generations in the city of Chicago, and turn Chicago and basically into New York City. And let's face it, what New York City is. It's a gentrified crap hole. What made New York City great, the people that were there, the generations that made it happen, are long since gone, or either that holding on the cliff's edge by their fingernails, and they will soon be gone. Chicago cannot let that happen.
I'm still trying to understand why they think that they have a whole bunch of rich people that they're going to be able to fill those spaces with. There aren't that many.
I have an idea based on what Ilhanner says here in the chat. There are probably 40 million homeless in America now. Mainstream media is not reporting about it. Why don't we revitalize all that empty space on LaSalle Street and start providing housing for everybody sleeping underneath Wacker Drive?
Yeah.
The article goes on to say, blah, 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 blah. Legend pointed to a small example already completed in the National Life Building at 29 South LaSalle Street, now the Millennium on LaSalle Apartments, and said student housing, senior housing, and a mix of high-end, mid-range, and affordable housing could help break up the corridor's monotonous stretch of office buildings and ground floor retail. A mix of high-end, mid-range, and affordable housing. God damn it, shouldn't all that housing be affordable? Why do we have to break it into high-end, mid-range, and
They don't mean affordable. They don't mean affordable.
Of course they don't.
Though.
They just throw that word out so that they can cover their asses and say, well, we're concerned about that, so they can virtue signal and pretend that they're going to help solve part of that problem. LaSalle can't reclaim what it was in the past because you can't get the office tenant, the environment they want. It will cost a lot of money to renovate buildings, and the owners can't get it back in rent, Legend said. But you have tenants that would be excited by a really cool central area space. All right. That's it for that article. You know, I have a colleague who has a small office in that Board of Trade building, which is I always refer to as the Wayne Tower when I go downtown. It's a beautiful building inside. It's an old Art Deco building. I don't see anything in these older buildings that can't be used the way that they are. There's such a
if they're not already, be converted to some residential units.
Sure.
At least, if you're working in that area, it would make sense to be living there, and then your commute time is down and you don't have to worry about parking or having a vehicle or transit. You're right there.
Absolutely.
But how many people are going to have jobs in Wall Street anymore?
Seriously, LaSalle Street.
Besides the day traders who are already working from home.
Yep. It's a big shift. The pandemic really pulled the drapes back to show that a lot of this unnecessary commuting and expenses that are related to jobs that can very, very easily be done from home. That's what's at the heart of how this is suddenly now a big issue. Dave Chappelle told his hometown to support the people or he would pull his funding. Yeah, I saw that. Of course, they twisted that several months ago when he said that into claiming he was against providing affordable housing, and that's not what it was all about. There was a bigger story there. So, as I'm talking about this revitalization of LaSalle Street, I have a confession to make, guys. I saw The Batman on Saturday night. I didn't pay Warner Brothers for it. My sister had a gift card, but she wanted to go see it. And I said, yeah, I may as well go see it on the big screen. She wanted to go take a look at it. And I was curious. And there's a point to this. A lot of the story behind that film is very, very reflective of the times that we live in. Again, we joke about it a lot, Chicago being like Gotham City, but it's not really a joke. And the heart of that movie deals with corruption in city government. It deals with corrupt public officials. It deals with the wealthy getting all of the benefits. And I thought as I watched the movie, it was interesting because it's kind of it was in that way a mirror to the times we live in right now. And those people in power just never, ever being held accountable, except in movies where you have a serial killer that is taking them out in the character of the Riddler. But It's worth seeing. It didn't stay with me as much as other movies do, but I think just for like the social commentary it makes, along with the detective story element of it, this thriller aspect of it. I'm still not a fan of Pattinson. I hate the bat suit, but I think aesthetically it's a really beautiful film, and I think the story was pretty solid, and I think it's worth checking out, at least for the social commentary that it makes, that I feel was very familiar to these things that we're reporting on here at Chicago Corner all the time, with the disconnect between the haves and the have-nots. Sorry, Kathy. I already did. It's my show. So, yeah, Art, the point is that crime in a city is because of the corruption.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
But it's been getting worse, especially since the aftermath of Rahm Emanuel and what his policies did in regards towards the city being gentrified, and how Lori Lightfoot is continuing on those policies as well. When I look at crime in the city, the reason why it's getting worse is because there are no social programs to help out working class citizens. There are no social programs to help out inner city school children. And if there are any, they're severely underfunded, and no one cares, especially when it comes down to the mayor and her administration. This mayor has got to go. All what she cares about is playing dress up. All what she cares about
optics and looking good.
Is trying to look, basically trying to look good, do her fun little dress up, be as the Ronin Destroyer or that crazy ass leprechaun costume. I don't know. I mean, it's starting to get stupid.
Yeah, Lightfoot's cosplay.
That's the truth of it.
Oh, it's disturbing every time I see that.
Truthful Politics shares, if traders want to do an upgrade in their business districts, perhaps our politicians should pay them a penny a trade. Perhaps our politicians, not pay them, should charge them a penny a trade in subsidies, just like our members of Congress do for their big money donors. Pay them or charge them? Perhaps our politicians should pay them a penny a trade in subsidies, just like our members of Congress do. I think you have it reversed, Truthful Politics. I think you mean they should charge them a penny a trade so that we're getting something back to pay for it. But I take your point. All city programs are nothing more than Band-Aids. Beat you to it, Kathy. Ward Deer Entertainment. Hey, Warren, nice to see you again. Corruption and not creating opportunities for the poor and working class leads to crime. It always has. Ilhanar, cops steal more from us than organized crime does. I think it was Princeton University that did the study to prove it. All right, so while we're agonizing over how we can revitalize LaSalle Street using our TIF funds, apparently that's the priority as opposed to like remapping wards in the city of Chicago. This still hasn't been done yet. So this comes to us from Mark Brown at the Chicago Sun-Times. Ward remap referendum still not a done deal. The deadline to avoid a referendum by convincing 41 members of the city council to agree on a map is May 19th. And getting into the article.
Oh, they pushed it to May?
Yep.
I thought they were, okay.
The Chicago City Council.
Miguel H., you got a little extra time to get going on that ward map public.
Uh-oh. Open the doors to putting Miguel in the crosshairs.
Well, Miguel, all right, you got some time then, buddy.
Now, on the plus side, we get to vote on it. Yeah, Kathy, but when? The Chicago City Council still has time to avoid a referendum on a new city ward map, but the campaign for the votes of everyday Chicagoans has already begun. So far, that campaign has played out mostly through press conferences and press releases as two competing factions preview arguments we could soon see backed up with television ads and mass mailers. What we've seen so far portends a divisive battle that won't make it much easier for voters to make a decision on which map to support. It's the uncertainty of the outcome of that vote, despite the confidence being expressed by the two opposing sides, that leads me to believe there's still a deal to be made here. The deadline to avoid a referendum by convincing 41 members of the city council to agree on a map is May 19th. I report that a little sheepishly, and that's not me reporting it, this is Mark Brown. He says, I report that a little sheepishly because I was among those telling you last fall that the deadline was on December 1st, which turned out to be a fake out deadline. But with the referendum required to appear on the June 28th Illinois primary ballot, I'm more confident this deadline is real. Private negotiations are continuing behind the scenes, I'm told, even as the public stances of the principals have hardened. Personally speaking, I really wouldn't mind seeing a referendum that would make Chicagoans more aware of how political boundaries are determined and why they're important. That actually would be the best case scenario, I think. But I'm concerned a dispute that's unavoidably about race won't produce nearly such an enlightened outcome. 33 council members, including nearly all of its black members, have prepared what they call the Chicago United Map. Another 15 council members, including nearly all of its Latino members, have proposed what they call the Coalition Map. Both maps would yield 16 black majority wards, although they get there by different means. The Coalition Map produces 15 Hispanic majority wards, one more than the Chicago United Map, which is the main point of friction, but not the only one. If Chicago voters were to follow the lead of their own city council representatives, the Chicago United Map would obviously have a clear advantage in the referendum. But supporters of the Latino caucus-backed Coalition Map say it won't necessarily play out that way. They've formed an alliance with Change Illinois Action Fund, a good government group that conducted its own independent map-making process last year. I'm going to bring that map up through what it called its People's Commission. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I guess I can. Oh, that's an article from last year. Sorry, sometimes we're not taking care of that. All right, let me go back to the original article. Sorry, guys. I can't. It's referencing an older article, and I actually think we may have talked about that article in a previous story on the ward remapping. At last week's city council meeting, the Coalition Map supporters introduced a new map they are now calling the People's Coalition Map, which makes changes to their own proposal to incorporate elements of the Change Illinois group's work. The problem is, by law, the referendum proposal they previously offered can't be amended, and there's no way to put the new proposal before the voters unless the city council approves a remap plan without reaching the 41 vote threshold, which would reopen the door for a substitute. Supporters of the People's Coalition Map say that they will pressure for a vote on their proposal at the city council's April meeting or challenge the other side to pass its own version. But Alderman Michelle Harris of the 8th, who chairs the Rules Committee and led the Chicago United Map effort, told me that's not going to happen. Harris said she is still hopeful for an agreement that will get approval of 41 council members, but otherwise she's prepared to take the Chicago United Map to referendum. Harris said the Coalition Map supporters outmaneuvered themselves by submitting a referendum proposal in December. Haste makes waste. In their haste, they got ahead of themselves, she said. Coalition Map supporters countered by noting their early filings gave them first position on the ballot, which they say is a significant advantage in this type of election. They also are hopeful Change Illinois will continue to support their map even if they can't make the alterations that were agreed upon, which could help persuade progressive voters. Can you not arch your back until I finish the article? Now I lost my place, you little punk. They also are hopeful Change Illinois will continue to support them.
Jerry, your mic is muted, unfortunately.
My mic? Oh, is it? Hello?
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Okay. Kit,
okay.
No, Kit, Ed can hear me. I'm just. Let me continue the article here.
I cannot hear you, my friend.
Okay, Kit, Ed, will you private chat Kit while I continue with the article, just so he knows?
Yes, I'll do that.
Thanks. I can't type in. Oreo's hovering over the keyboard. They are also.
All right. So while we figure this technical issue out,
hey, Kit, we're good. We can hear Jerry. You might want to.
Really?
Drop out and come on back in and see if I fix
your audio. I guess I can't hear anybody here. So
guys, give me a moment here. Let me quickly chat with Kit. He might need a refresh on his end. You hear me, Kit?
All right, I'm gonna log back out. I'm sorry.
Okay, folks. No problem. It wouldn't be a Chicago Corner Hardlands media show without technical difficulties. They are also hopeful Change Illinois will continue to support their map, even if they can't make the alterations that were agreed upon, which could help persuade progressive voters to their side. Madeline Dubeck, Change Illinois' executive director, said that decision would only come later. Right now, we're completely focused on getting the map on the ballot, she said. I don't see the People's Coalition Alliance getting their revised map on the ballot, but maybe in the process of fighting it, a compromise will finally emerge. So that's the update on that and what's taking so long.
Yeah, so it sounds like the main difference between the two ward maps is that there's going to be one more or one less African American ward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Kit?
All right. Hey, guys. I don't
Can you
know
hear
what
us?
happened there. Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Very good. Okay.
I have no idea what happened there.
No problem. No problem. We just wrapped up the article. There was only a couple sentences left, but Ed, can you repeat what you just shared? So
Yeah, so it sounds like the main difference between the two ward remaps is that there will be either one less or one more African American ward, depending on whose map they go for. So, like, it sounds like the Latino caucus is trying to get one additional ward, and so are we. I mean, I don't have the information on the population representation, but it sounds like that might make more sense to have one more Latino ward. Plus, we'll probably have the first Asian American ward, too.
Yeah. TrueDemocracyNow.org, Dominic shares, if our politicians want to make an unbiased and fair map for each ward, it's just a matter of putting the population information in a desktop computer program to get the results in about 5 seconds. Kathy, we wrapped up the whole show. Not yet, Kathy. No. There's more to report on. I've got like 2 or 3 more stories. Let's get to the next one. Hey, guys. Willie! That's actually our last story, though, Ed. So let's save Willie for the tail end there. So, remember what an uproar all this caused? What was it, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So Mayor Lightfoot thinks it's a good idea to bring back genocidal maniac Christopher Columbus to Grant Park.
Oh, what could possibly, and I mean possibly, go wrong? I can't think of a single thing, folks.
Guys, I love the Italian community. And I say that prior to my thoughts that this is just pandering to the Italian American community. Actually, it's probably pandering more to the old school Italian American community here in the city of Chicago, because this is just not necessary. Look, I'm certainly not about canceling cancel culture or canceling people. But the history of Christopher Columbus and what he really did and how it impacted the indigenous population of this country cannot be disputed. For years, he was propped up as some kind of historical hero. Facts have proven otherwise. There's even, evidence that he clearly was not the first European or person from another part of the world to quote unquote discover America. And this is just a real sore point. Columbus Drive is named after him. I opined on numerous occasions, maybe that would have been a better street to rename for an actual hero like Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable, instead of deciding to create all kinds of, controversy renaming Lakeshore Drive. But let me get into this article. This comes from Kelly Bauer. All right, let's find out the why, if there is a why here. The controversial statue has been in storage since July of 2020 after protesters tried to pull it down. Mayor Lori Lightfoot said she fully expects it'll one day return. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and I think that this is being vetted right now because it's probably going to happen sooner than later. She fully expects it to return. The statue was removed in July of 2020 amid high-profile debates over monuments that honor problematic figures. And after protesters tried to tear it down, leading to a violent clash with police officers, it has been in storage, its fate uncertain, while a city-created committee reviews Chicago's monuments. But during an unrelated news conference Monday, Lightfoot was asked about the slow progress of the committee, and she said she expects to see the monument make a return. No, number one, What's important is to make sure that we're really respectful of, I think, legacy projects that people across the city deeply care about. I can't get as gravelly as she does, and if I did, I probably would lose my voice. And particularly those that have been the subject of controversy, Lightfoot said. I'll say the Columbus statue in Grant Park in particular, making sure that if the statue comes back, which I fully expect that it will, that we have a safety plan in place. The mayor said officials must look at the issues the Monuments Committee has flagged, and she must engage with the communities and be mindful of how people will react to decisions about the monuments. Lightfoot said she will not do anything that puts police officers in harm's way, saying she's haunted by the clash between police and protesters when people tried to pull down the Columbus statue. Lightfoot has previously voiced support for keeping problematic monuments like the Columbus statue in place. She's also defended the city's celebration of Columbus Day, while others have moved to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, which I think I'm all for that. It's not clear when or if the statue will make a return. In October of 2020, Lightfoot created the Monuments Project Advisory Committee to review all the monuments and memorials in the city and make recommendations about what should be done with them. The group flagged 40 statues, including 3 Columbus statues that could be problematic in February of 2021. But no action has been taken with Grant Park's Columbus statue or other controversial memorials. In July of 2021, a year after the Columbus statue was removed, the city said the committee's members wanted to do more events with the public that summer. The group's last public event was September 26. According to its website, it is yet to release its recommendations for what would happen to existing monuments. I think this opens up an interesting conversation, guys, with how do we treat problematic historical figures. Before the show started, everybody, I was chatting with Ed and Kit about the fact that I just binge watched the A&E series Secrets of Playboy about Hugh Hefner.
Never heard of that place.
God, yeah.
Pardon me?
Never heard of that place.
Never heard of that place. And what reverence has been given to Hefner throughout the years as being some kind of social advocate, and while everybody just pretty much turned a blind eye to the fact that his entire operation at his mansions and at his parties and stuff, he was a pimp. It's what he was, and people turned a blind eye to it. And it's interesting. He died 1 month before the Harvey Weinstein allegations went public. And I would say that if Hefner had not passed away when he did, he'd probably be in jail along with Cosby and Weinstein, given all of the allegations. And I don't have any reason to doubt these women on this show that have come forward to speak about the unspeakable horrors and predatory criminal activities within the Playboy operation, especially at his mansions and his clubs. But Hefner is a problematic historical figure that we have to basically look at as Columbus or any other, more notable historical figures. I mean, I'm just kind of referencing that as a cultural topic. But as we talk about cancel culture, with people that have been revered and elevated, we cannot erase history, but we certainly need to define it more accurately, I think. And in the case with this statue, I don't know that it's a great idea to bring it back out, given the history of Christopher Columbus or many of our other leaders throughout history. We talk about this down south in southern states, how they want to keep up the statues and monuments to the Confederate heroes. Hey guys, you lost that war. It was a civil war. There's nothing to be proud about. We don't need to continue elevating or glorifying people from history that we have the wisdom to look at the facts more clearly and say maybe they don't deserve the attention. We should focus on the history and not glorify them. I'm not saying outright cancel them. I think that this movement to erase problematic history from school textbooks is utterly ridiculous. Or anything that relates to race relations in this country, we have to get rid of it because it's ugly and problematic. No, you can't get rid of it because it's ugly or problematic. Ask Jewish people. I don't think that they want to see the history of the Holocaust erased because it's problematic. You have to recognize this stuff for how it teaches and to prevent these kind of things from happening again. But in regards to statues and public monuments to certain historical figures. What are your thoughts on it, guys? I just wanted to like throw out my thesis here so we can kind of open it up to
I think if during the summer, if the city of Chicago wants to see another riot happen because of the Christopher Columbus statue, then Mayor Lori Lightfoot is going to get her wish, whether she likes it or not. And there will be pushback. There will be people, of course, protesting against it. I think this is putting salt on an open wound. And after previous footage that was seen from the last showdown between, again, the police and, of course, the activists, we're going to see more people get hurt. And it's a bad idea, and it should not be implemented at all, period.
Yep. Il Hunter says, yeah, let's celebrate a child murderer and rapist. American Idols, am I right? Well, were you talking about Hefner or Columbus? Oh, no, Hefner didn't murder anybody that we know of. I think he's talking about Columbus.
I
will say this about
gamble.
I will say
this gamble for Lightfoot to be even considering this right now. It's like, is she going to be? Is she banking on getting a lot of Italian American support during the re-election?
No.
And how much of that support is going to go against the support that she's not going to get from people who normally might have considered it, except now that she'll decide to let a Columbus statue go back yet.
Yeah, she's pandering to the Italian American community for votes. That's what this comes down to. Dominic from True Democracy Now! There is no controversy for many of our politicians in this matter of a Columbus statue who share the same sociopathic tendencies as a genocidal maniac. Mm-hmm. True that. No, Kathy, no. I think that, you know what? If it was a bird sanctuary that drew pigeons to shit all over it, I'd be all for it. Other than that, no. All right. Moving on.
No Ambassador Rahm statue. That man has done so much damage in Chicago. No, we don't want him back in any form.
Not even for the pigeons to shit on?
No.
Somewhere hidden, like maybe where they store the salt for winter, somewhere nobody can find it or see it.
No.
All right, okay.
No, nowhere in the city. I don't want him anywhere. Any vestiges of him.
I agree. Even though the thought of the birds crapping all over his head would be.
Listen, the birds deserve better, okay? I'm thinking about the animals here. I'm against animal torture, okay, buddy?
You could turn it into like an event where people line up and throw like whipped cream pies or.
No. The whipped cream pies deserve better. I'm sorry, buddy. Rahm Emanuel deserves to be forgotten.
Yes. He's Japan's problem now, or will be ours as ambassador, depending on what.
Oh.
All right, moving on from the Chicago Sun-Times. Dozens of Chicago cops guard mayor and family in below-the-radar security unit created in 2020. This comes from Frank Main and Fran Spielman.
Why does she need a Praetorian guard?
Because she's the empress. Or she probably prefers to be known as the emperor. It's good being king or royalty, I'm sure, to Lightfoot. The unit protects.
It's like a mini version of the Secret Service.
Yeah,
in Chicago.
That's what this article gets into. The size and the scope of it. The unit protects Mayor Lori Lightfoot's Logan Square home and City Hall. Like past mayors, she also has a personal bodyguard detail. In February, a man was charged with stalking her. It's different than a call. It's different than an email. This was real. This was real, the mayor said, as far as the stalking. Nearly 2 years ago, the Chicago Police Department quietly created a special unit. Quietly created. They quietly create everything. To protect. Look, we know that our mayors need a security detail, okay? But this is a very special and expensive and very, I would say, probably also overstaffed unit to protect Mayor Lori Lightfoot's home and City Hall and oversee her personal bodyguard detail. Unit 544 began with a handful of officers and has grown as of March 21 to a roster of 65 officers, 5 sergeants, and a lieutenant, city records show. Like previous Chicago mayors, Lightfoot also has a separate personal bodyguard. Separate. She's got 65 officers in Unit 544, and she also has a separate personal bodyguard detail, which includes about 20 officers, the records show.
What you need all them for?
So that's wait. So that's 65 plus 5 plus 1, 71, 91 so far is the count. Is that correct?
91 people? Like, seriously, no. I'm sorry. This is bullshit.
She's that important, guys.
You know what it is,
she's
Jerry. I'm realizing this is the same game plan she's always done. It's overreaction. It's reactionary and then overboard by giving more funds to the police.
And I'm going to acknowledge here, Kathy, you beat me to the punch. You basically shared in a live chat where I was going with this. But I'll continue the article since you kind of cut to the chase. If they were good mayors, they wouldn't need security. Well, they'd need some security. They'd need some security, but they wouldn't need this much security. There's at least 30 hanging out at the Logan Square Monument at any time. Yeah, I've gone through that neighborhood. It's a police presence that's very, very noticeable. Methinks you might be worried about people wanting to eat her.
Eat the rich. Eat the rich. Eat the rich.
Of course, look, there are some decent rich people, but unfortunately not enough. Of course, cops protect the rich. They are the private military force of billionaires. Yep. Back to the article. Yeah, 91 members of the security detail. On July 7th, 2020, the police department sent a memo to rank and file officers saying they could apply to the new Unit 544, also called the Government Security Detail. The unit's mission will be to provide physical security for City Hall, the mayor's residence, and the mayor's detail command post, the memo said. Through the coordination of intelligence and resources, officers will respond to all threats related to the mayor's physical properties to ensure its protection. The unit was limited to officers with at least 5 years on the job. The desired qualifications included experience in providing security and property protection services. This is more about security and property protection services, I think. But there hasn't been any specialized training for the unit, according to the police department's response to a public records request. Around the same time the unit was being formed in the summer of 2020, residents of Humboldt Park and Logan Square were complaining that the Shakespeare District, which covers their neighborhoods, was getting stretched thin because so many patrol officers there were being assigned to keep protesters from gathering outside Lightfoot's house in Logan Square. And going back to Kathy's point, if they were good mayors, they wouldn't need the security. There'd be less protesters. There'd be less cause for concern. Not this many security. In an interview, Lightfoot said the decision to create Unit 544 wasn't related to the criticism over Shakespeare officers being posted near her house. There wasn't any kind of unified command of the officers who were in City Hall and my house and my bodyguard detail, she said. The first floor of City Hall was one chain of command. The second floor was a different chain of command. The fifth floor, where the mayor's office is located, was a different chain of command. The house was different and the bodyguard detail was different. We thought, and this is way before protests or anything else, it just didn't make sense. Because, if there was some kind of emergency at City Hall, for example, the right hand wouldn't necessarily know what the left hand was doing because all they reported to all different chains of command, the mayor said. That's terrifying. She just acknowledged that the right hand wouldn't know what the left hand is doing.
What's going on with the right hand and the left hand? Oh, my God, no communication whatsoever. Right hand, left hand, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. There's so much stupidity. Oh, no, it's so crazy. Ah!
Okay.
There.
So her criticism of her extremely large security is that it wasn't very organized before, but now it is.
With 91 people, I'm sure that they can all keep in contact with each other much more easily.
So what? So like, she started with 70 and they weren't talking to each other, so she had to hire 20 more so they could communicate better.
Yeah.
Well, you just don't understand, Jerry. I mean, with me even considering that whole thing about the statue and with Columbus and the election coming up and everything, it's, I have to make sure that all my people are talking to the other people to make sure that, that we have the proper support for that statue going back up. And if it does go back up, it means that it will no longer be disrupting my weekly cannoli deliveries from my favorite Italian bakery, and I can sleep soundly knowing that I have all those security people ensuring that I will be re-elect protected.
Hope she's reelected. And then obviously in 2020 in particular, there was a significant amount of protests all over the city, and some of them targeted at my house. My house!
Yeah, her house. She's the one who raised the goddamn bridges. She's the one that decided to divide the city. She's the one that called the National Guard to guard inner parts of the downtown Chicago area. She's the one that helped escalate the further conflict. She is the one that was implementing policies that was antagonizing protesters, especially during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. She was the one that kept on doing this. She was the one, especially during the Toledo protest. She was the one who also implemented raising the bridges again. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, you're a coward. You're afraid. You need to hide yourself all the time because you're a failure of a leader and you know that people are calling you on your bullshit.
All the more reason why having a unified command to understand and share intelligence and be ready to respond if there was any kind of threat was very important. In a September 1st, 2020 email to Lightfoot's office, Tom Cochran, executive director of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, had warned of attacks on the homes of mayors of Portland, Oregon, and San Jose, California, and of death threats to other mayors. The fact is that all mayors should look at doing a security assessment as to their personal residence, family, and children, Cochran wrote. Look, I can't disagree with that, but this is overkill. I mean, this is not about security that is reasonable. This is about she's like a kid in a candy store. She can just get more than she needs because she's such a narcissistic leader, narcissistic public servant that can get away with it. It seems that the current rhetoric concerning mayors is even more invasive towards mayors personally, and there is an extra heavy burden of abusive and possible bodily harm.
It's this growing need for the politicians to protect themselves from their constituents.
Yep. Not
How about,
again, this comes from the fact they're not representing us. If they represent
that's exactly
us
what it is.
Then they wouldn't need to worry about this shit. But at this point, as we talked about in our last show, violent revolution, what was it? Peaceful protest, violent revolution. This was the JFK quote.
Hold on, I got the JFK quote. Okay, I got it right here.
Yeah, I mean, it completely applies to this situation. Eat the rich, Lightfoot sandwiches for everyone.
Let's see. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Isn't this at the heart of what we're talking about here? She needs all this security because she's not listening to peaceful protest. She's not listening to the citizens. She's not listening to the constituents and people she's supposed to represent. She is listening to big business. She is listening to LaSalle Street, as we were talking about in our earlier story with TIF funds going to revitalize that district because, oh my God, there are vacancies all along LaSalle Street because the banks went elsewhere.
Well, thank goodness they're also planning to, completely overhaul Lakeshore Drive so people can get down there faster too.
Right. Yeah. That'll probably be a 10-year project. True Democracy Now! Shares her neighborhood seems to have the best protection for the Columbus statue. Hopefully her officers will not be confused about who or what to protect. I think maybe she should, Dominic, maybe when that Columbus statue goes back up, she should let some of her security team loose to go protect the statue. Ilhanar shares, it's really galling how politicians think that we are too dumb to figure things out. Like, for instance, every politician is corrupt. It's not hard to see. They are just that dumb. Or they just don't care. Eleanor, I mean, I don't necessarily know that they're dumb to get to where they are. They just don't give a shit. Because at that point, they're separated from us, and what can we do is probably their attitude. Asked if having 71 officers in Unit 544, along with the officers in the mayor's bodyguard detail, is too many, a former top City Hall aide familiar with the creation of the unit shrugged. I don't know what the right number is, said the ex-official, who asked not to be named. They should be doing data-informed deployment. What does the data say? But John Cloughton-Zara, president of Chicago's Fraternal Order of Police and a regular Lightfoot critic, said she's safeguarding herself at the cost of public safety.
He's not wrong there.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
I know. God almighty.
I hate to have to agree with this this fascist. But while murders are soaring, while districts are bare bones for manpower, all that matters is protecting her castle, he said. Lightfoot, though, isn't apologizing for the security surrounding her and her family. She didn't name him, but she said former President Donald Trump has a lot to do with it. When the President of the United States uses the world's largest megaphone and platform to target you personally, terrible things happen. And he not only blew a dog whistle, he pointed really evil and dangerous people right at my doorstep. No, they didn't go to your doorstep, Lori. They went to Juicy Smolier's doorstep.
Oh my God.
Because we know how many Make America Great Again red cap wearing maggots, as I call them, maggots, are all over Streeterville or her community. Lightfoot said
more like LaSalle Street.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Lightfoot and her family had a serious scare earlier this year. Joseph Igartua, angry over parking tickets, approached Lightfoot's home to deliver a letter to her, police said. I can't blame him. He was stopped by Chicago police officers. Igartua was armed with a loaded gun. Okay, well, I can blame him for that. But was released because the officers thought he had a valid state concealed carry license. Oh, all right. So he was. There he is. There's Mr. Igartua, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Igartua returned 2037 returned to the mayor's house February 13th and 14th, alarming her, according to Cook County prosecutors. This is why we need mental health clinics, right? Right?
Yeah, that's
right.
one reason.
On February 16th, he was spotted drinking in an alley because that, you accost this guy how many times? That's when you drop him off at the mental health clinic, which we don't have any. Or enough anyway. On February 16th, he was spotted driving in an alley about a mile from Lightfoot's home, and then, according to a shot spotter gunshot detector, fired a weapon 5 times, police said. All right, so, yeah, this guy's dangerous. Yeah. 91 security detail officers, though. Igartua was arrested on charges of stalking and reckless discharge of a weapon. A background check revealed his concealed carry license had been suspended and his firearm owner's identification card was revoked. He's being held without bond. Oh, pandering? I thank God for the police protection that we have, but this one is really unnerving and scary. He first came to our house on a Saturday night when we were there. My wife and child and I were home. When somebody shows up at your house, clearly going through a mental crisis with a loaded gun, that's frightening, Lightfoot said, still visibly shaken up. This is the world's smallest violin. And that, Mayor Lightfoot, is why you need to start funding more public health clinics, mental health clinics, and
reopen the mental health facilities.
Right? No, we're not going to reopen the mental health facilities, or perhaps deal with reforming what this guy's beef was all about. The fucking parking ticket system, the traffic camera system in here that is unfairly, in many, if not most instances, financially raping citizens in this city, all across the city, primarily though in the south and west sides. Studies have shown with the placement of all those cameras in communities where people literally lose their cars after they're booted because they can't afford to keep up with this kind of, I think, harassment. I mean, it's different than a call. It's different than an email. This was real, and it scared us. I'm not going to lie. It was very, very frightening. So I'm thankful. Oh, shut the fuck up. So I'm thankful for the quick work of the police department to really protect us against this real threat. Okay. 91 people need to protect her from this.
No. Again, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she's got to go. She's got to go. She's gone mad with power. She's got to go.
Who's going to save us, Kit?
It's got to be ourselves. It's got to be us. It's got to be us.
It does have to be us, but potentially throwing his hat into the ring as we're talking about the need to replace her. Willie Wilson to announce April 11th if he's running for mayor against Lightfoot. I don't know what. I guess we'll find out in the article why he's got to wait till April 11th. Now this comes to us from NBC5. Millionaire businessman Willie Wilson said Tuesday he will announce April 11th whether to reprise his 2019 mayoral campaign against Lori Lightfoot, but insisted his $1.2 million gas giveaway was not a vote-buying prelude to it. The guy who says, if it's against the law to tell me how to spend my money, then arrest me. The guy who routinely is like showing up places, handing out money prior to his mayoral campaigns. This wasn't a calculation. Come on. Wilson has already held 4 town hall meetings on a possible mayoral campaign at churches across the city. He sounds like he has already made up his mind to run again and is just waiting until next month to make the official announcement. The wording of Tuesday's emailed media advisory fueled the perception. It declared humanitarian and businessman Dr. Willie Wilson would announce his decision to run for mayor at 11 a.m. on Monday, April 11th, at his Wacker Drive penthouse. Even so, Wilson insisted he has not made up his mind and will not use the next 2 weeks to finalize this decision. He then sent out a second media advisory that said he would announce on April 11th whether or not he will run. He's just like, do I? Don't I? Am I? Well,
all right, here's the thing, Willie. If you're going to be running for Chicago mayor, reach out to us here at Chicago Corner, because you know what? I would like to have an interview with you. I would like to have my colleagues to speak with you as well, because you know what? What are you doing? What are you doing, man? Level with me here. What are you doing?
Hey, and true democracy now, at least he's open and honest about it. Right? Who says you can't buy votes in Chicago? Even so, all right, so after all these press releases, he's going to announce it on April 11th. Even so, Wilson insisted that he's not made up his mind and will use the next 2 weeks to finalize this decision. Oh, I just read that paragraph. Pressed to articulate his bill of particulars against Lightfoot, which I really do think is the heart of the matter, Wilson said, crime is up. Way too high. You got to get it down. You got to get hold of it. Crime is the number one issue. We have to do something about this crime because it affects all of us. People, he noted, are leaving the city. That's true. He also talked about what he viewed as Lightfoot's heavy-handed leadership during the pandemic and the unilateral decisions she made to twice shut down restaurants and bars to indoor patrons without consulting the people she was elected to lead and the business people whose livelihood she was impacting. You can't just close these. I'm not going to keep imitating him because I think he's well-intentioned, even though if it's very transparent how he's doing things. You can't just close these things down when a lot of people were going out of business. You have to talk to people because their livelihoods are on the line. Their whole family is on the line, Wilson said. Very true. I would have made my rounds with my town hall meetings quickly, and I would have gotten the opinion of the people. I would have made sure that we communicated with the people closely and we made the decision together, not just by myself. I would have gotten my direction and my marching orders from the citizens. Wilson's showing in the first round of the 2019 mayoral election, he won 13 of 18 black wards, no doubt was boosted by his charitable giving. In a runoff that followed, Lightfoot won all of those wards and all 50 wards citywide after Wilson endorsed her over County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, who I think would have been a whole other type of disaster had she won. It was shit or a shit sandwich. Whichever
or shit soda.
Yeah, you're going to, okay, shit or a shit soda. Whatever happens, you're going to choke on either. Wilson's endorsement of Lightfoot sent a signal to his older church-based constituency that, as he put it, contracts and jobs and schools were more important than their concerns about Lightfoot being a lesbian. I didn't realize that was an issue, but
yeah,
it's not so really.
But it's a non-burger at this point. I mean,
yeah.
It's a nothing burger.
Yeah. A few months after Lightfoot took office, Wilson expressed his disappointment with Lightfoot, saying he had no relationship with the mayor at all. He accused Lightfoot of ignoring his calls and sending him text messages that said she was too busy running the city to call him back. That's not a surprise.
Well, she never did get hire a city manager, so that's one reason she's too busy.
That's yeah. But he endorsed her, and then she doesn't have any time to get back to him. On Tuesday, Wilson disclosed nothing has changed. She continues to be frozen out, like everybody else that's not part of LaSalle Street or the financial community. I would have done things a little differently. Certainly, I would have communicated with a person that had endorsed me and put me into the office, he said. Over the last 2 weeks, Wilson has held 2 gas giveaways. The first generated massive traffic jams as motorists lined up for hours at 10 locations to get $50 worth of gas until the $200,000 Wilson had pledged to spend ran out. The second freebie was larger but less chaotic. About 4 dozen stations, both in the city and several suburbs, pumped $1 million worth of gas into motorists' tanks. If prices at the pump keep rising, Wilson said he is prepared to spend no less than $1 million on a third gas giveaway. But he was downright insulted by the suggestion that the giveaways, after a lifetime of charitable giving, were an attempt to buy votes. Come on, Willie. You can come on, man. You can level with us. How could that be if you check my record? Last year, we gave away over $4 million to people that were sleeping on the street, the churches, the face masks, not only in Chicago, but around the country. Hurricane Katrina, things of that nature. We've been giving into the millions of dollars every year for the last 20 odd years, or 30, he said. Okay, so here's a fair point. If he has, I haven't really seen the media reporting on it. I don't doubt he has. It is curious, though, that this hasn't been reported on more, while his more transparent giving around election time does have a lot of optics focused on it.
Well, he even made signs for this. So
yeah,
I mean,
I know.
If any of the other things he wanted people to know he had done, he definitely would have had signs and banners printed. He would have done press conferences. We'd have heard about it.
Yeah. As for Lightfoot's stalled plan to temporarily roll back the 3 cents a gallon increase in the city's gasoline tax that she got passed in 2020, Wilson said it's nowhere good enough. He wants the city to get rid of its entire 8 cent per gallon gas tax for the remainder of the year until prices at the pump start to fall. Never mind that the gas tax generates $64.9 million yearly for snow removal, street pavement, bridge maintenance, and related personal costs. Yeah, but just think of how much a 1 cent per transaction tax on LaSalle Street could go to the author of this particular article. And I'm looking for them. They're not credited at NBC5 Chicago. Yeah, when they say never mind that the gas tax generates $64.9 million yearly for snow removal, street pavements, bridge maintenance, and related personal costs. And your point, like the rest of what we're overtaxed doesn't also go towards that, or the TIF funds that are now going to revitalize the financial district. It's madness. Ilhar, vote for me and I'll buy gas for you. It's illegal. What? I don't know what you're talking about. He should just do Joker-style parades and drop money on people. That I would like to see. That I would really like to see. We don't need SNL anymore. We have Chicago politics. Abso-fucking-lutely. The New York Times questions whether people should get another booster shot because, COVID is gone. Make money. New York Times sucks. Yeah, I saw that article, Kathy. I did get that before the show. I just had so many other things to cover. Let me bring that up really quickly. I'll just quote from that article since she brought it up. And I did get that email, but it's about the COVID boosters. I'll read this from my email. New York Times. FDA authorized second booster of COVID-19 vaccine for adults 50 and older, but the scientific evidence for a fourth dose is incomplete at best, and researchers do not agree on whether the shots are needed. I guess that's all covered over at the New York Times, of which I'm not going to try to get past the paywall right now to read from.
I think they're also, the FDA is also looking into the possibility that if they were even to go down the road of more boosters, that they need to do more research targeting specific strains. And I doubt we're going to be able to catch up with the strains as they mutate. So at this point, we should hope that a lot of us have built up immunity from the strains that we have survived, and hope that a lot of that is going to provide some protection going forward.
That would be a pleasant surprise. I actually saw this noted in the news updates. There's a big COVID surge in Shanghai right now.
Yeah, that's happening. Well, we're still in a pandemic, but I mean, Putin, I think, seemed to maybe made people ignore everybody, and then Will Smith's smack made everyone forget that there's a war in Ukraine.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that brings us to the end of our show here. Kit, any news to share from Hardlands Media?
Well, we are now moving to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time to do the show. Wednesdays still remain at 5 p.m. Until we can able to get things scheduled up. And of course, Jerry, we of course have a team meeting on April 16th. So that's still happening. And I know that you are going to be more of a contributor on Hard Lens.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about that, having your perspective and you being a co-host on the main show. So There's going to be a lot of stuff happening on Chicago Corner as well, where Kira McCown, sorry about that.
Oh, you just blew the surprise.
Oh.
We haven't announced it yet.
Oh,
that's okay. That's okay. I was actually going to get to it. Yeah, but finish what you're saying though. Let me also I'm very, very excited about this opportunity to share time with you on Tuesdays over at Hardlands Media, because I love talking about national stories. But that's going to take me away from doing the Tuesday night show here. So Kira McCowan, we are planning. Hopefully this will be implemented. I think we'll figure out scheduling after this Hardlands Media meeting. Kira will be broadcasting Chicago Corner on Tuesdays. I will be broadcasting Chicago Corner on Fridays, and I will be over at the Hardlands Media show with Kit, talking about national stories. So I get a chance to be a part of both worlds. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm really glad Kira's going to be handling the duties here Tuesday nights, because I've wanted to involve her more here at Chicago Corner, but she's got a crazy, crazy schedule. And I'm really glad that forces are kind of converging here to bring her back over to the show to share her stories, her viewpoints, and all the important stuff that she wants to talk about here in Chicago as well.
Yes,
yeah, definitely going to be cool.
I said the secret on.
That's okay. No, it wasn't going to be a secret, because I was actually going to talk about, the reason I was going to bring this up after you were talking about the meeting was that I didn't want people to think that, when she suddenly appears on Tuesday nights, I'm gone. It's just more about how we're shuffling things around so that we can manage our time with all the stuff we want to do at both stations.
And plus, this is a way for us also to expand Chicago Corner, Hardlands Media, and kind of outflank YouTube censorship. So that's all what's really happening right now. World Perspective Radio Chicago is still pushing strong. And so it's going to be one hell of an interesting shakeup. And nothing's been set in stone yet, but we are making these changes because there's a lot happening at 99 Perspective Studios. If you haven't checked out our website, Edward Heller did a fantastic job really making our website happen with 99 Perspectives, Hardlands Media, and there you can check out all of our channels. So when Daniel and I say on the show, Hardlands Media, that we're taking over the city of Chicago, we mean it. We're taking over, and we invite all of you to come with us. And then once we're done taking over Chicago, we're taking over the country, and then we're taking over the world, and no one's going to stop us. And we want all of you to come with us.
Kathy, what makes you think you're slapping me around?
No.
Kathy likes that leprechaun insert. I'm gonna have to send it to her through email so she can watch it and laugh whenever she wants.
Lori the leprechaun.
So yeah, here's the link: 99 Perspectives TV. That's where everybody can go and see what Ed's been working on. Ed, you want to share
what else am I? Actually, I'm working on a thing, and let's see, maybe I can share it with you here on the thing here. Here we go. Okay, I don't know if that's working or not.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I am considering selling a few of my art in crypto NFT form.
Awesome.
All right.
Idea.
I'm dipping my toe in that water to see if maybe I can help myself pay some bills. And so the first series is going to be Chicago Pizza. And you guys are getting the first preview here. With one of the variants that is called Deep Dish, and let's see if I can turn on some layers. I can show you guys. Here's the stuffed pizza.
Hey,
Ed, can I ask you a quick question regarding NFTs and the design of them? Do the designs of NFTs have to be? I'm not saying this in a disparaging, just from a disparaging viewpoint, but do NFTs have to be simple illustrations that are, or can they be more?
They can be anything.
Paintings. Okay, because I've seen most NFTs look more like animated or more hand drawn or clip art, not clip art.
The thing is, it's NFT. If you guys aren't aware, stands for non-fungible token. and you basically you're creating something that is going to be listed or verified as being unique and existing on the blockchain. So that thing that you're attaching to whatever this blockchain address is it could be anything. It could be a video clip. It could be a piece of artwork. I don't know how meta you can actually get with these items, but for me, I'm keeping it simple. It's just going to be some of my artwork, and I don't know if you've seen some of the icons. If you go on Twitter, you see a lot of people posting pictures of what their NFTs look like, and a lot of times it's a variation on a theme. So you'll get, like, some people may create, or they call them minting NFTs, where you basically you're taking your piece of artwork or whatever, and you're connecting it to the blockchain and deciding how many pieces of this that you're going to make available for people to own. And
so what are they so I've kind of like followed this whole NFT culture on social media. What are they generally, I mean, what are people willing to pay for NFTs?
It's still pretty new to me, so I'm not really sure what the ranges are, but they're all over the place. So it depends on how much demand you have for what you're selling, and whether you're going to offer like a unique piece that only one person can own. So, like, I might make a custom like a custom deep dish or a custom stuffed pizza that has jalapenos on top or something, and that would be like the only one that I'll make available with jalapenos, and maybe that one might be more rare than the other ones. So then people will buy it, and there will be a market for it like anything else. So you have that, and like things go into like an auction or something, or someone tries to sell it, or whoever owns it could try to sell it again for more, and some artists have made some pretty good money this way. I don't know if I'm going to be one of those artists, but I figured, well, let's try one series and see what happens.
Do the NFT art pieces have to be in this format where it's a square box, or can it be like another size, like 8.5 by 11?
It's a good question. I don't think you have to have a specific size. You can just choose, what your NFT is gonna be. I mean, I can go, like, I'm gonna go into my program here and see, like, you can change it so that, like, it'll have a different background colors, and that's a different unique item, right? And so then I can have, like, here we got tavern style.
Nice.
Tavern style. There we go.
I like the fact you've got a series, and you basically, what you can do, and you're probably already thinking about doing this, is representing every type of pizza style in Chicago. I mean, I've seen lists of the different pizza styles and variations. So you've got
I have 4 that I've created already. I actually didn't put the caramelized pan pizza one together yet, but that's the 4th one that I have, that I was planning to put in this series. Although I could create, you guys have heard of the pizza pot pie. I believe that originated here too, although it's not technically a pizza, but we could, since it's got pizza in the name, I could make that like a super rare variant,
Dude, this image is making me hungry. So did you see Kathy's comment in the live chat? Like a real piece of art, or a real pizza of art.
Yes, a real pizza of art.
So there's reasons I'm asking you this, and I'll talk with you off the air, because I actually have I haven't quite dived into it yet, but I have a digital piece of art that's one of a kind and unique, of which the original image was lost, not by myself. Something I might be working on in the future. And I thought, like, because that original piece of art was lost, and I'm currently pursuing remedies for that, if it might be worth looking at offering that piece of art as an NFT. I've got a very high resolution, large scan of it
Yeah, you definitely could do that.
Art to like recover my loss on the fact that the artwork is gone. But the thing that really makes me curious is like why people are willing to spend so much money on something that they obviously it's identified as being unique because of blockchain, when, as Kathy brings up in the chat here, what's to stop people from screenshooting it or screenshotting or just having a copy of it that, yeah, if you screenshot something that's blockchain, to just have a copy of that image themselves.
That really nothing. But it's like
perceived value to whoever decides they want to have.
Yeah, it's like collecting trading cards,
okay,
so to speak. You know, it has a value for you. You know, you're collecting a digital piece of art that exists only in the blockchain in that way, and that nobody else can have that piece on the blockchain. So even though you could take a screenshot of the thing you see on the screen right now, and you got, oh, hey, I got an original Ed Heller Chicago Pizza screenshot, you know, but we know it's a screenshot.
Right. This is really fascinating to me because I think it may have been 10 years ago. I saw that the trading card company Topps started offering digital trading cards where you would pay.
Yes.
And I watched that emerge, and I'm like, why would anybody pay for a digital trading card when you can screenshot it? But I guess that it has to do, and I'm not knocking it, with perceived value. I mean, it's the same as if someone buys a physical piece of art. They're going to be willing to pay whatever they want to own something based on what they perceive that value to be. So, I mean, look, if the artists and people offering the NFTs or the digital trading cards can earn some money off of it, I guess I'm not going to knock it. I mean, it's just, it's like from my perspective, I don't know I think you guys know, I collect a lot of movie replica art. And what that is, it's like models and replicas of props, models, costumes from movies. And when people see the stuff I have in my apartment, they're like, whoa, what did that cost? Is it an original that was actually used in the movie? And like, from my perspective, I don't need what was on screen because number one, it's really, really expensive to try to acquire those pieces. Number two, a lot of that stuff is really not in good shape after having, aged from so many years. But I'm fine with having like a copy of something that I saw on screen, which, it's expensive stuff, but it's still more affordable. So I kind of liken my interest in like collecting replica stuff, which is more affordable, to like someone's going to want to just have a screen grab of an image to have on their computer, or someone's going to want to have the original that was issued to them from the artist. It's kind of like, I think the same mentality, same mindset.
And now what I can do is I can take a screenshot from this show that has the picture of Willie Wilson with the Chicago Pizza deep dish and a photo of us three. And then I can mint that as an NFT, along as a unique NFT that nobody will pay money for.
Exactly. I wish you
like
it's an interesting emerging market.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, it just gives me an opportunity to be a little more creative with some of the art that I've already created, and maybe create some new stuff that either will or will not sell. And worst case scenario, I'll have this art available for myself, and then maybe I can sell actual fungible prints of these in a gallery someday.
Well, I was about to go into T-shirts, physical goods. I mean, I love your aesthetic. I love the style of your artwork.
Oh, and I do have T-shirts. You can go like a Redbubble / users / Ed Heller, and you can get to the my Redbubble shop, where I do have some pizza shirts up there now, along with the volcano party and some other things. But if worst case scenario, I'll take some of this artwork and repurpose them for new T-shirt designs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love what I'm looking at here, and that you brought up the other one with the thin crust. It's great. It's like it's a series. It's like a series of trading cards. Good stuff. All right, gentlemen. Well, listen, I want to thank you both for joining me this evening. I want to thank our viewers in the live chat for participating. As always, you are a part of the show. and I really appreciate everybody's commentary and interest in participating in everything that we talk about here. So we will be back on Friday. Gentlemen, thank you. And to everyone else out there, until we return, please be careful this week. Watch out for each other. Whoop. I'm trying to like do my outro here. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. So we'll be back Friday, 7:30. We'll cover the stories of the week. Until then, please take care of each other. Watch out. Be vigilant. Be safe. And remember, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it here on Chicago Corner. All right, everybody. Good night. Be safe. And thanks for joining us. Thanks, Willie.